Hello everybody, my name's True Demon and I'm the Devil's Stockbroker, and I'm bringing you another Gamma Squeeze pick that I just identified called SST. This is System 1 Incorporated. This is actually a Gamma Squeeze that had taken place earlier on in the year. I had gotten into the play sometime around March when the stock had taken off to the upside. It had multiple big running days, such as this one where the candle had wicked up all the way up to $36 and then came crashing back down and then ended up back around 33 only 3 days later. I had gotten in and out of the play just within a couple of days, so it happened too quickly to really identify it positively for the Discord. For me, it was just like a really quick scalp, get in, get out, and I didn't really make that much off of it at the time. But I decided to keep my eye on it because there were several conditions of this particular squeeze that led me to believe that maybe it would do it again in the future. That being that there was a lot of calls left on the chain for the third quarter of 2022. So I left this one sitting here and just wanted to see if naturally this one would pick up steam again. And as it turns out, it has. So I've been waiting for the right time to bring it up, and I think that now we may be there. So what I had identified in SST is that after the stock had gotten some attention, it had sold off pretty badly upon IPO and then took back off to the upside and got some support off of its 200 daily moving average. This stock was very thinly traded as just a really small. I'm not even sure what to call it exactly. It's not. It wasn't an IPO, and it definitely wasn't a penny stock, but it was a low float that really hadn't gotten that much attention at the time, and that was kind of what got my attention about this one. This one only has 15 million shares in the float currently, and the stock is trading right now at around $10.88. So that places the market cap somewhere in the range of well, 1.226 billion when you put together all of its total outstanding shares. The float itself is very, very small. This stock is mainly under control of long institutions that have been holding on to this one for this lengthy period of time. So in terms of the technicals, what I identified was that similar to the last move, the stock has regained control of its 200 period moving average. And right now, there is a gamma ramp that's sitting on this stock that puts the potential for more than 50% of the float to run in the money. We'll get to that in just a second. The first thing that I want to cover is the financial situation for the company, which on a quarterly basis had been mainly losing money. It really didn't have any revenue to speak of. It was mostly looking for investors early on. Just recently, however, the company posted a $218 million revenue in the first quarter of 2022, which I suspect is part of what brought institutions in to really quickly snap up all those shares and caused a bit of a squeeze in the stock. They've been keeping it quiet lately, but now I suspect that they're accumulating again, so we might get another run in the stock in the near term. On quarter over quarter growth, the gross profit of the company has slowly been edging towards net profitability. The net income of the company as of the latest quarter filings of Q2 was just shy of 30 million negative loss, net loss. So their estimates have placed them at a continued EPS loss for the remainder of the year and going into 2023. So the expectation is that the company is not going to make money in the near term. Now, back to the technicals for this stock. The immediate situation shows that the company's due for a little bit of pullback right now. So it's been resting on or around its 200 daily moving average for a little over a week and a half, and the MACD is a little bit overextended, just a touch. The expectation is that the MACD will pull back down towards zero as the stock consolidates sideways, hopefully above its 200 daily moving average, giving it some time to regain some strength and momentum and build up for a move towards the middle of September. The biggest week for this stock, in particular for a gamma squeeze in the near term, would be for September 16th. However, there are even bigger opportunities going out as far as October and November right now, which I'll show you right now. So currently, in total, the company has about 89% of its options chain committed to calls right now. The short exempt stats that we see from this stock show that consistently this stock has been subject to extreme short exempts, bordering on just absurd. Most of them were anomalous and recent just because the stock is so thinly traded that I suspect that market makers are having a very hard time fulfilling and receiving shares in inventory, giving this stock a real possibility to change price quickly and get momentum going. In addition to that, the stock has been on this move to the upside consistently for the last several weeks, really the whole month. It's been on this bullish uptrend, chasing its 200 moving average. It got above it briefly, broke back down, and then reclaimed it just 1 week later. So that's where we're currently trading. We're just hovering right there at that 200 moving average, right there at the 13 and 48 EMA crossover as well. And you can see the volume has been building consistently as the MACD has been pulling back just a little bit. So the short exempts, as you can see, have been extremely volatile. All the volume conditions are very volatile, which gives me the impression that this does have a real opportunity to be a potential gamma squeeze, because this is a sign that the stock is very illiquid. Not necessarily manipulated, just very illiquid. And because of that, the call chain being so overextended is very dangerous for the holders of those call options, because this stock has run to $36 in the past. It could do that again. And a big move like that is very difficult to stop when there's so few shares. And once it gets started, any attempts to cover really cause it to get even further out of hand. So this can trigger very rapidly, and it doesn't take much. Now I'll get to the actual gamma ramp right here. So currently, about 20% of the float is in the money at a current market price around just over $10. This has a very clear step-up pattern because there's consistent strikes at $10, $12.50, $15, and then all the way up to $20. At $15, more than 50% of the stock's float would be in the money at that point. Now, it does have a very large number of outstanding shares. However, this is mainly held by angel investors, venture capital firms, and insiders. Looking over the filings for System 1, we see that just as of today, the prospectus received a supplement for up to 25.48 million shares of Class A common stock, and up to and the exercise of warrants up to 106.5 million shares of common stock in the form of 8,424,000 warrants. So this is extremely consolidated amount of stock that's being sold as a private placement. The warrants are being sold directly to an angel investor. We'll see if we can identify precisely who this is. It looks like, yes, so the unit holders of S1 Holdco LLC. This appears to be the primary investors, including Michael Blend, who is the CEO and founder of SST. So this looks like a combination of angel investing and Michael Blend giving back a little bit of investment to himself and giving himself private placement to these warrants. The exercise price for the warrants is at $11.50 per share. So just based on this paragraph right here, it seems that there's deliberate intent to dilute the stock with these warrants once the price gets anywhere above $11.50. Now, this happened before because private warrants were placed for this stock going into its, I guess you would call it public offering. The public offering that was made after the company had already been established on the stock exchange resulted in a huge rush for shares, and that is what caused the price to lift so rapidly. But the exercise of these warrants is what caused the price to collapse down from those $35, $36 levels, and there was a massive amount of profit to be made from the companies that were involved that received those warrants. Now they're doing this again and doing a private placement of warrants that's being issued to the selling security holders that are named in this filing that was just issued today. So we can speculate that this is they're preparing to move the price again and do another sale. So this is an opportunity that once the price starts getting a little bit more exciting, at any point above $11.50 though, it's technically in profit and the warrants can be exercised. So that's where the risk is. The potential to get rugged on this one is very palpable, so this one's a very, very significant risk, and I want everybody to be well aware of that going into this before they even consider making an investment for themselves. Just about everything about this company just tells me it's a big cash grab, and there's a lot of companies that are trying to get a little piece of the action, and I suspect that they might try to drive the price up again and kind of play a little game of chicken with each other, seeing who's going to blink first and start selling their shares and causing the price to decline. So it's going to be a matter of which of these private placed warrants get exercised first and when. We're not going to hear about it until after it already happens and the price starts declining. So consider this a very clear and loud warning that once these warrants are out in circulation, they're going to be handed over to these investors probably starting tomorrow, and they'll have the ability to exercise them almost immediately. The stock is already trading very close to where it was traded last, at around $10.88. So at any point above $11.50, that's where you have to be careful. The one thing that I will point out is that just like before, when the volume started to get really exciting, that is when the price started to lift. And once it got above its 200 period moving average, that's when it just started to really take off. And then finally, they shoved the price as high as they possibly could before they did their cashless warrant exercise, and then tanked the price on the sale of those shares once they had been converted. Currently, most of the call options are concentrated around the $10 and the $15 level at September 16th expiration. So there's a possibility that this move might happen in the very short term. However, you'll notice that there's an even bigger ramp that's sitting around $15, $12.50, and $10 all the way out till November. So the November strikes are even more attractive, and they're not that much more expensive. They're trading anywhere from $140 to $160 per contract here at the 1250 level. So that's quite attractive as far as giving yourself a lot of time and theta to allow this whole thing to play out. And by doing calls, you're limiting your risk in terms of how much cash you put up for the potential gain of this stock to go ripping to the upside. Ultimately, though, what actually drives the price is going to end up being purchasing of shares. So without that fuel being added to the fire, this may not play out quite the same. I would not anticipate that this stock goes as high as it did before. These tend not to do that. I would start to get nervous after it crosses or even approaches the $17, $18 level at this point, because from this point going forward, the stock has been trading even further below where it had hit a previous low back in January, and I would anticipate that anybody that does get their hands on those warrants would exercise them sooner rather than allowing the price to get this high. I just don't see it happening. So this one does have some potential to be quite volatile, so I am going to take a small position in this one. This is the idea here is that I'm just going to let the other institutions do the work. I'm only getting in this for the sudden move, big impulse move, and then get back out. I'm not anticipating holding this in order to, cause a big gamma squeeze or hodling forever. That's not what this play is. It's a little bit more, shall we say, shall we say, effortless in that I'm just going to take a small position and I'm going to let it ride. And if people are interested in taking a small bet alongside, I figured that this is something that the Discord and the larger retail community would appreciate if this does potentially end up squeezing. Just remember, please be careful. This one has very clear dilution risk, so it's obvious what they're doing. They're probably going to try and drive the price up as quickly as possible, sell at the top, and then drive it down. We can never know where the top is, but we can set various price levels and set different estimates wherever the resistance is at. And currently, the best guess I have is above 12.50, then you have 15, and then $18 or 17.50 thereabouts. That's where this thing starts to get really, really risky. So if it were to move to such a high level in such a short amount of time, and you had calls going out till November, well, then that's very easy to take profit on those. So yeah, that's the play. I'm just taking a small position, minimal risk for potential big gain. Um, Obviously, take this with a huge grain of salt. None of this is financial advice. It's just pointing out some of the other factors on this stock that kind of grabbed my attention, and figured this is something that was up Hell's trading floor's alley. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you tuning in to check this one out, and good luck and Godspeed to all of you. I will see you tomorrow. Have a hell of a time in the market.